And it might not seem like a big deal, but this is really one of the areas I struggled with. Minasan, konnichiwa, SQTALK, yokoso! Today I'm going to be talking about my life in Japan because I've been here for about 3 years now, so I feel like it's time for kind of like a roundup, my overall opinions of what it's been like to live in Japan for the past 3 years. So if you like videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's get into it. Okay, so like I said, it's been 3 years since I've moved to Japan, and I feel like a lot has happened during that time. I've experienced so much, but I also feel like I haven't experienced enough. So Japan has totally changed my feelings towards food. I love Japanese food so much, and it's so crazy to think that if I'd never moved here, I probably would have never tried most of it. I feel like when you live overseas, that's kind of one of the biggest parts of it. The cuisine is completely different, and I know a lot of people who move to other countries really struggle to adapt to the new cuisine there. I feel really lucky that I moved to Japan and got to eat so many amazing things. And now I would say all of my favorite foods are Japanese. I don't think I have any favorite food anymore that's actually British. So that's great. Food has definitely not been a problem for me here. And when I go back home, that's actually usually the question I get asked about the most. Like, how are you finding the food there? And people are pretty shocked when I say I prefer Japanese food to British food. So I guess that is one of the biggest things. But honestly, my favorite thing about living in Japan is the fact that it is so different from anywhere else in the world. I've traveled a decent amount around Japan. I've seen different incredible landscapes and visited so many unique places, but I want to do more. I feel like, yes, I've done a lot in the past 3 years, but I feel like it's just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much I want to see and do in Japan. It's honestly crazy. I have such a long list, and I can't even imagine moving or even visiting anywhere else until I've seen more of Japan. Like, the idea of traveling overseas to a different country is great, but I feel like, well, why would I go overseas when there's still so many places in Japan I need to go to? And that's so crazy to me because when I lived in the UK, I had the complete opposite feeling. I felt like, oh, well, why would I travel around the UK when there's so much I could see overseas? So it's kind of crazy that Japan has changed me in that way, in the way that I think of travel.
This video is sponsored by Hellofresh. Hellofresh is a subscription food delivery service. Chefs design the food to appeal to Japanese tastes, even if the meals are from a different cuisine. When possible, the food is sourced directly from Japan. You don't have to measure anything whilst cooking because it's already been done for you. The recipes include pictures, so it's really easy to follow. Using code SQTALK, you can get your first HelloFresh box for free and 1,000 yen off your second and your third box. We really enjoyed cooking with HelloFresh because it was really easy and the meal was really balanced and super delicious. It's really useful because you don't have to go to the supermarket, and if you're like me and you're not creative with food, you don't have to worry about that either. Please check our description box for more information.
And I would be lying if I said it was easy to adapt. I remember in my first year here, I found it very difficult. You definitely have to get used to things. And I think the most difficult part of moving to another country is you need to accept that your life is going to be completely different. I think that was something I knew, but knowing that and actually doing that are two completely different things. So in my first year here, I was almost trying to live the exact same life I was living in the UK, just in a different location. And you can't do that. Because it's a different country, it's a different culture, you cannot do that. And I think, and this is gonna sound so basic, but so the thing that I struggled the most with might seem like such a small thing, but it's actually not, and that was shopping. And that is grocery shopping, furniture shopping, clothes shopping. And it might not seem like a big deal, but this is really one of the areas I struggled with. I remember I had to go to the grocery store by myself, and Taro kind of really trusted me with it. It was like, yeah, go to the grocery store, just get some stuff for us to eat. And I came back with, first of all, not a lot, and secondly, stupid purchases. Because in my head, I was trying to live the way I was living in the UK. And, you know, the cuisine there is very different. And often the things that are cheap in the UK to buy are expensive in Japan. And that took me ages to get used to. It really did. And then furniture-wise, Japanese apartments are designed so differently from apartments in the UK. So the sofa that you want, the bookshelf that you want, anything that you want to, you know, decorate your apartment is going to be completely different. And I think if you don't live in Japan, all you have to do is visit Nitori and you will see the difference. The furniture and everything is just completely different. And then clothes shopping, the fashion and the styles, again, different. So different, which I actually prefer because I like the Japanese style of clothing. I really like Japanese stores, but I had no idea what was good quality, what was a good price. And I think that's maybe the biggest issue, the difference in price, because obviously I'm so used to spending money in pounds and knowing how much each item is in pounds. So then to switch to yen, I had no idea what I was doing. Because I think when you're a tourist, it's different. You can spend ridiculous amounts of money if you want, because it's for a short period. You're a tourist, you're meant to be having fun. But when you're living here, you can't do that. So you do need to figure out, you know, what's good quality, what's bad quality, and how to get more bang for your buck, really. That was difficult. And I'm so grateful that I have Taro, because without him, I wouldn't have survived. I would have no idea what I was doing. So yeah, I'm really grateful for him. So the next thing I'm going to mention is pretty obvious because I've talked about it a lot on this channel before, and that is the weather. The weather here is very different to the UK. The summer, particularly in Tokyo, is so much hotter and so much longer, which I'm getting used to. I definitely like it because I'm not used to having such long summers, or sometimes even a summer at all. It is a little bit hot, but I feel like it's livable sometimes. But again, we have air conditioning, so maybe if it wasn't for that, I probably would really struggle. Whereas in the UK, we don't have air conditioning in our homes. It's not very common. And yeah, I like that the winter here, it can get quite cold, but it's, I feel like, slightly warmer than the UK. Yeah, so it's not like terrible. And also the climate varies depending on where you are in Japan, and drastically so. So the further north you go, the more likely you are to encounter snow, and the further south you go, the more likely you are to encounter warmer weather, which is kind of true in the UK, but not to that extreme. So Scotland is famous for being colder, and you can definitely get snow there, but I would say the difference isn't as drastic as going to Hokkaido in Japan and then going to Okinawa, which the more I think about this, the crazier it is. Like, you can get a plane from Hokkaido to Okinawa, it doesn't even take that long, and it's just two drastically different places. That is so crazy to me. And the fact that you can fly around Japan, because I mean, you could do that in the UK as well, but there really isn't many destinations you could fly to that are still within the UK, and you can get a train to pretty much all of those same places. So I've done a lot of flying, but I've stayed within Japan whilst I've done it, which is so crazy to me. But it's excellent because it means you can have a really nice holiday without leaving the country, which again is something that I felt like I've not really been able to do. I know when I was a kid I used to go to the countryside in the UK, but it's definitely not the same as, I don't know, going to Okinawa or going to Hokkaido. I'm going to ask Taro a question that I've never asked him before, but I've been thinking about it for a really long time. Taro, what was it like living with someone who was new to your country?
It's kind of fun, because every time I do something which is, first time for you, I can see your reaction, right? So for me, it's not new, but I always feel like it's, new even for me.
Because of my reaction?
Yeah, because of your reaction. So as you said about the weather, you said like for British people, it's kind of hard to adopt, right? But I think we can say the same thing to even Japanese, because year by year, it's getting hotter in summer, right?
Yeah.
So even for Japanese people, it's kind of hard to adopt Japanese weather every year.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. I didn't think of it like that at all. Yeah, because like on the news this summer they said it was particularly hot, rainy season was really short, and like records were broken. So yeah, oh my gosh, that's such a good point. It's hard for everyone.
Also, you say like you like Tsuyu, right? Because there's something that you can enjoy in two season, right? I have lived in Japan since I was born, but I still don't get used to two season. Okay, so you can ask Japanese people if they are used to rainy season or not. I think most of them say no.
Yeah, I think I'm not necessarily used to it, but to me it's not so terrible because, I mean, I don't work outside. So if it's really raining heavily, I don't have to leave the house or go anywhere, so it doesn't really affect me that much. And also, I like the rain. It sounds weird, I know, but to me the rain doesn't bother me that much. Like, I don't mind going outside in the rain as long as it's not crazy heavy. But I think one of the things I like about rainy season is it kind of signals the start of summer. So as soon as rainy season stops, I know summer's here. And it's kind of the same with typhoon season. I hate typhoon season, it's so dangerous, and honestly, I'm scared of it. But at the same time, once that happens, you know autumn's coming. So again, and with the cherry blossoms, spring is here. That's one of the things I find most fascinating about the weather in Japan. You kind of get signals that it is the next season. Whereas in the UK, we don't really have that. Because even, I would argue, with autumn, you don't really know autumn's coming until you're in the middle of autumn, because sometimes, and I know that this has been an issue this year, if the weather is unusually hot, it kind of makes the leaves fall off the trees anyway. So it looks like autumn even though it's summer, and we don't really have that clear indicator that we're moving to the next season until we're already in it. Whereas in Japan, you have those, I guess, signals or hints. So rainy season ending means summer is beginning. Typhoon season ending means autumn is beginning. Cherry blossoms, spring. So that's something that I find so interesting. So that is it for today's video. There is still so much I want to do in Japan and so many places I want to explore. So if you have any recommendations, please leave those in the comment section below and let me know what surprised you about this video as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!